The devil's on the loose and he's dancing with the mummy.
Deep from the bowels of the Macabre Theater Laboratory, we bring you Macabre Cast. There is nothing wrong with your streaming service. You are exactly where you should be, where the slush puppy machine is always on and cold. Your favorite horror mag is on the rack, discreetly displayed between Women's Wear Daily and Cosmopolitan. I'm your host, Dark Mark, along with my mold-riddled counterpart, Karis, the Little Mummy, here to bring you the latest episode of Macabre Cast, where we'll be dropping ours where they belong and adding them where they don't. Newbies welcome, regulars welcome back, and worshippers, get out of here. This is a safe space for people who know in Halloween 2, even though Loomis tells everyone that will listen he shot him 6 times. But due to poor editing, it's clearly 7.
6, 7.
If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and follow my show on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or, when I'm not violating the ludicrous community standards, TikTok. Tell a friend to do the same, even that tool who insists people who watch horror movies are bad, evil-minded people. Well, maybe not that guy. If you wish to interact with fellow Monster Kids or the Drac Pack Elite, follow the Facebook page, Macabre Theater. It's there where you can send me a voice message through Messenger and participate in this show. A link can be found in the description of this episode. Or, if you're a bit on the shy side, but still have an opinion you'd like heard, send me an email at macabretheater666@gmail.com. Your opinion matters. Macabre Cast, episode 154, and all its gory glory begins now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Adoro il cast macabro.
In the 1950s, it was Tales of Tomorrow, Lights Out, and Alfred Hitchcock Presents. The 60s, The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, and Boris Karloff's Thriller. The 1970s, Night Gallery, Kolchak the Night Stalker, and Ghost Story, Circle of Fear. The 80s, Tales from the Dark Side, Monsters, Freddy's Nightmares, and Friday the 13th, Hammer's House of Horror. The 90s, X-Files, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Tales from the Crypt. The 2000s, Supernatural, Masters of Horror, True Blood. Today's topic, if you haven't guessed, is favorite horror TV series and why.
This is an easy one. Saved by the Bell. 4 seasons of total terror.
Karis, Saved by the Bell isn't a horror series. It's a sitcom about a California Bayside high school. It created stars like Tiffany Thiessen and Elizabeth Berkley.
So, what you're telling me is Saved by the Bell isn't a horror series?
No, Karis, it's a comedic sitcom.
But Elizabeth Berkley went on to star in one of the most recognized horror films of all time.
She did? What was that?
Showgirls from 1995.
Karis, we're discussing favorite horror TV series today. I don't think that you have too much to add.
You know, Dark, I just got my doctor's test results, and I'm really quite upset.
Oh, Karis, I didn't know you were waiting for a doctor's test result. What's wrong?
Well, as it turns out, I'm not going to be a doctor. I failed the test.
And on that note, it's time for horror news. They Will Kill You gets a digital release April 28th and a Blu-ray 4K release June 30th of 2026. We know A24 won the rights to Texas Chainsaw Massacre reimaging, and now we know who will direct it. Curry Barker, who received rave reviews at the Toronto International Film Festival last year for his supernatural horror film Obsession. This and the Texas Chainsaw TV series will run simultaneously. The epic King Kong remake from 1976 is getting a 4K Blu-ray edition release on June 30th, 2026. Netflix's second most popular non-English speaking film of all time is Thrash, with an estimated 34.5 million views. I'm sure the two most stunned with that news would be Horror Chat Matt and Metal Melody. And David Howard Thornton, Art the Clown himself from the Terrifier franchise, proposed to his girlfriend Jada Christine in full art costume at the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo in Alabama. And that's it for horror news. And Draven agrees. Draven the blood-vomiting bat. Children of the night, what messes they make. So, I'd like to take some time on this episode to talk about some favorite horror TV series of mine that I don't often mention. First up is from the creator of The X-Files, Chris Carter's dark apocalyptic crime thriller, Millennium. It ran from 1996 to 1999 and starred Lance Henriksen as Frank Black, a former FBI profiler with abilities to see into the minds of serial killers. Frank is part of a mysterious organization called the Millennium Group, sworn to combat the ever-growing evil of the Pacific Northwest, all while the year 2000 quickly approaches. After Y2K came and went, and we all realized that, like it or not, we're still here, the show kind of lost most of its fear and dread, and that's probably why it seems almost forgotten now. I still think it's a great show, and looking back at its serious tone now seems even more unnerving, even more so than it did back then. The series was canceled after 3 seasons, and the character of Frank Black received official closure in a 2000 crossover episode of The X-Files titled, oddly enough, Millennium. Its cult following still discusses the show on Reddit. Why am I not surprised?
You are listening to Dark Marks Macabre Cast, Episode 154, Favorite TV Horror Series.
Grim Facts.
Hi, Dark Mark. Hi, Karis. Hi, Monster Kids. Hi, Macabre Theater. It's Grim Kim checking in. How are ya? Mark, I like your topic this week. Favorite horror TV anthologies. Right off the top of my head, of course, Twilight Zone. A little Alfred Hitchcock if you want more just human-based drama. I liked it because it looks like it was set like a play, and I appreciated the, low effects of it. One of my top, X-Files. Oh, I loved X-Files. Especially a couple of the really, really creepy episodes, which I may revisit soon. And there was another one that was fun. I think it was on in the 90s. It was called Erie, Indiana, I believe. And it was a little more, I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to call it cutesy, but in like a Desperate Housewives type of way. It's set in some crazy neighborhood. And I just remember I really enjoyed the stories I saw. They were more like a PG family type of Goosebumps. Let me put it that way, Goosebumps. I'll throw the Goosebumps in there too. I love it. I like the YA young adult stuff. there was so many. I know, Mark, you had mentioned Freddy's Nightmares as being one of your faves, and it's been so long since I saw it, but I definitely want to see those again. The one that was ultra special, because we never had cable at my house, but if we were at a friend's and could catch the Tales from the Crypt, awesome. It was good, and like, you know, for HBO, actually, it seems pretty tame, but it was enjoyable. I love anthologies in general, movies, TV, that kind of thing. Really enjoy it. Okay, now on to movies. I saw a couple of things recently. Tubi just put out a new independent one called Hive. They tried. It turned cheesy, and I actually know this kind of like video game legend that the story is loosely based on this creepypasta that comes up in this video game that I can't remember the name of now, but it's like Playground Slide, and it takes you to like another world. I wouldn't really recommend it, unfortunately. I did queue up something that's been on my list forever and ever. Macabre. In homage to Macabre Theater. And, what year is it? Late 60s, early 70s. Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, number one, I have 2 more children to throw into the Killer Kids bracket tourney. Number 1 is the little girl from Macabre that drowns her brother, feeds, her mother's lover's dead head to them for soup, and she was so creepy. It was awesome. Obviously, I love that part of the movie. The other part of the movie is of the time, a lot of sex scenes, a lot of moaning and groaning from the other room, and the woman in this movie is just off her rocker. And there's a couple really disgusting scenes. And the special effects are great for this one particular scene. And I can't believe I've never seen this movie before. Highest recommendation for Macabre. I don't know if it's an Argento movie. It may be. I don't know. But highest recommendation, and I definitely am so glad finally saw it. Something else I queued up, I see it perennially. Night of the Living Dead, the original. It's just, it's a good one. How can you not say it's a good one? I was just listening to a podcast about it that was talking more about, the racial commentary that underlies it, and it was really interesting because the main character, Ben, he wasn't written as a black actor, and at the time Romero was like, okay, so why can't we have a black actor? And they're like, well, remember that scene where he has to slap the woman, Barbara? How our audience is going to take that? And Romero's like, well, tough shit, because he wasn't thinking it from a racist standpoint. He's like, no, this is the guy I want for the part, and that's that. And it's so tame now, but at the time you could see how it'd be horrifying. This is my second proposal for Killer Kids bracket. Maybe we can put them up against each other. Is a little daughter Karen from Night of the Living Dead, and she ends up eating daddy in the literal term, and killing mama with a shovel too. And see, she's a special category because she was already in zombie form by then, so it's like, don't hate the player, just hate the game type of thing. It's not her fault. She's a zombie. She's, desiring human flesh. But anyway, it's such a good watch. There was something else I saw that was good as well. I just can't quite remember it right now, but that's all I'm going to contribute. And so I'm going to pick a number 1 for my anthology series. Oh, you know what I forgot to mention? I may put this as number one. Me and my sister got on a Ray Bradbury theater kick. Yeah, I'm going to list that as number one because it's all set in 70s TV era, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And when he wrote this anthology, he was basically my age, 56 at the time. So, of course, I'm dissecting how he looks. I'm like, all right, he looks like he's 56, so he looks okay. I don't know. It's just like trying to reassure myself, I guess. But it's a really fun series, and I don't think I saw the whole series because whichever platform I was watching it on, you know how sometimes they don't have the entire series, which is kind of annoying, but you know, what can you do? Okay, I am looking so forward to seeing Backrooms, Hokum, those two for sure. And I know there's a bunch of stuff coming out this month, and I'm looking forward to maybe catching some matinees. I was disappointed because I think senior doesn't start till 60, so I have to wait another 4 years. Hold on. No, I'm not disappointed that I'm not 60 yet and can see the bargain matinees, but it will be a slight advantage when I do. And I will be hitting that as often as I can. But for now, I'll just settle for, a matinee price. Softens the blow a little bit. Okay, Monster Kids. I agree. I think we should do another, tentative get-together. I'd be down for that for sure. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Hope everyone's good. Bye.
Great horror TV picks, Kim. And, yes, a lot of these are my favorites also. But as you know, on this episode, I have been talking about ones that are great and favorites that I don't talk about as much. And I have a whole episode devoted to the Twilight Zone, which I love. And Laura Horror loves Hitchcock Presents. Goosebumps was something I watched quite a bit when my kids were very young. Freddy's Nightmares, by the way, that you're curious into jumping back into, that's on Tubi for free right now. So there you go. And Tales from the Crypt, that great HBO anthology that ran for so many years, is on Pluto TV, if you get that, and that's also free. And Ray Bradbury, what a great storyteller. And when you first mentioned Macabre, the film, my go-to was, I thought you were talking about William Castle's Macabre when you first mentioned it. But you're referring to the 1980 Italian horror film Macabre by director Lamberto Bava. He's the son of the great Mario Bava, creator of the film Black Sabbath and Black Sunday. Two absolutely fantastic films. Lamberto worked with Argento to make one of my all-time favorite 80s horror films, Demons. So he's responsible for Demons. I myself have never seen Macabre, and that's good to know. I hope that that's on Tubi because I would like to catch that down the road, And I know sometimes, as you've said, there's nudity in those films and a lot of sexual shenanigans. I will make sure that I am not watching with my adult son, which is just awkward and weird. Always so great to hear from you, Grim Kim. And we hope to hear from you again and again and again. Take care.
You are listening to Dark Marks Macabrecast, episode 154, favorite TV horror series.
Hey, representing the Italian listeners, Maria Monstalia.
Hi, Mark. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the movie Rukon. Hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It stars Alicia Silverstone and James Tupper. It's about a couple in Vietnam for a romantic getaway. After a storm destroys the resort, they are stranded in the ocean, fighting for their lives against great white sharks. The reviews were not the greatest, but give it a watch and see for yourself.
Every episode, we have Maria Monstalia representing our Italian friends at the beginning and end of every show, and it's always a bonus when Maria Monstalia calls in. And rakan is a French word which means shark. So the title translates into the shark. This movie seems to have come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden I'm hearing about it a lot, even though I think it's a couple of years old. And you are correct. I've heard nothing but bad reviews. It's tough for a shark film these days to get good reviews. And what's funny is the best of all time is from 1975. You would think with technology and effects and the way Hollywood is now that they could outdo that 10 times over. But it just proves that Jaws is a beast to be reckoned with and will probably never be replicated or never be done better. That's why they need to stay away from remaking that film. I think that this one's on Netflix, if I'm not sure. And I'm going to go with what you say. Maybe there's something there. Although it's tough for me these days to see a shark film that I appreciate. Although I did like The Shallows. I thought that was good. The end was a little over the top, but again, you kind of have to be when you're competing with Jaws. Thank you for calling in, Maria Monstalia. We hope to hear from you more often.
And now it's time for Real World Horror. And now here's your host, Dark Mark.
January 10th, 2024, in Springdale, Maryland. Richard Bernard, 40 years old, and his 13-year younger roommate, Dominic Scott Hayes, began an argument over the TV remote. Richard claimed he was asleep on the couch when Dominic woke him asking about the TV remote. Richard claims Dominic was holding 2 knives and charged at him, so he opened fire on him with a handgun. Richard then went back to sleep. When he awoke, he later drove down to the marijuana dispensary in D.C. When he returned home, he got high, flushed the bullet casings, and contacted friends, who urged him to call 911. Richard Bernard was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 50 years in prison.
Tune in next time to Real World Horror with Dark Mark.
Way cool. It's Chicago Tina.
Dark Mark and Karis, the little mummy, and all you kids out there in Monsterland. Sorry, Mark, that I'm calling at the last minute, but I've been out straight this week, and I finally got a chance yesterday to sit down and watch some movies and have the house to myself. So I wanted to first address the subject of this week's show and tell you that, hands down, my favorite TV series growing up was Kolchak, the Night Stalker. And let me tell you, that was scarier than most movies I've seen. And my parents used to get upset because I wouldn't go to sleep. I couldn't sleep in my room after watching some of the episodes. It was only on for a season, so I guess that was a good thing for my mental health. But one episode in particular, because as you know, that show takes place in Chicago. There was this episode called Chopper, and where I lived, there was a lot of gang activity, so I swear to God, I think I believed it was true. And I remember being scared to walk down, walk through an alley in my neighborhood because if I heard a motorcycle, I'd run home. It was about it was kind of a version of the Headless Horseman, but the guy was on a motorcycle, and it was gang related. He was murdered, and his head got separated from his body. So his ghost came after the other gang members. It was so scary. And the guy that was in A Christmas Story, the father, he was, you know that he's Kolchak. And He's that show. I'll never forget that show as being one of the scariest shows when I was growing up. And of course, Night Gallery. I loved Night Gallery. Other than that, this week I finally got to see a few movies, and some of them not so good. Some of them were first of all, I watched the movie Good Boy, and that was okay. I mean, it wasn't as great as everybody told me it was going to be, but like I said, I shouldn't listen to other people's opinions first. The second movie was, I just watched it last night. I can't believe I don't remember the name of it. That's how good it was. Bone Lake. Yeah. Well, yeah. All right. I'm not even going to say anything about that because I have, my mother said if you don't have something nice to say about something, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, but the third movie was a movie called Saint Maud, and that was really different, and it was a religious horror movie, and I really liked it. I liked everything about that movie. I also want to bring up that I cannot find My Mother's Eyes. I text Grim Kim and asked her where I can find it. She said Tubi, but I don't have it on Tubi. So if anybody can let me know where I can see that, her recommendation sounded really good, and I'd like to see that. So until next time, I hope you guys are all doing well, and I hope there's more good movies coming out because I just got Shudder finally after all these years, and I'll be calling back again. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Absolutely love Kolchak the Night Stalker. And even though one season, it's perfect. I actually own that complete collection at home. And Night Gallery I also very much liked, but always felt it was just missing something that the Twilight Zone had. I do like Night Gallery, but not as much as I like Twilight Zone. And Shudder, that's great that you've got Shudder. Unfortunately, Joe Bob is on his way out of Shudder, if you were a Joe Bob Briggs fan at all. There are now 3 specials left. After the third special, he's off to find another streaming service to be part of. And now that this whole Joker ordeal is over, and I've finally seen the Joker, which you wanted me to see so bad, and we've talked about that and quite a few episodes back. I still have your DVD. I'm sure you want that back. And I believe you left a copy of Shutter Island. And you may want that back, or am I supposed to see that too?
Shutter Island? Are you trying to tell me that they made a movie about a streaming service?
No, Karis. Shutter Island is a movie in and of itself, and it's spelled with 2 T's, not 2 D's.
Bone Lake. What a dumpster fire. Hey, have you heard about the sequel? Cloud in the Pacific.
Oh, Karis, highly inappropriate. Highly inappropriate. Always great hearing from you, Chicago Tina, and we hope to hear from you again real soon. Boris Karloff's thriller ran 2 seasons, airing from 1960 to 1962. There are 67 episodes.
67.
Yes. There are 67 episodes, and the complete collection is available on Amazon in DVD format. Each episode runs close to an hour and played in the same vein as Hitchcock Presents, gothic horror and suspense that often worked around crime drama. Robert Bloch, best known for Psycho, was one of the series' writers. Karloff was the host, but also starred in 5 episodes: The Prediction, The Premature Burial, The Last of Somersville, Dialogue with Death, and The Incredible Dr. Markinson. Littered with stars, the likes of Leslie Nielsen, William Shatner, Mary Tyler Moore, Elizabeth Montgomery, and John Carradine, just to name a few. In one of my favorite nonfiction books by Stephen King, Danse Macabre, King referred to Thriller as the best series of its kind up until that point. Music scores were written by Pete Regolo, and additional composers by Jerry Goldsmith and Morton Stevens. Gold Key Comics published a comic book based on the show in October of 1962. When the show went off the air, the comic changed its title to Boris Karloff, Tales of Mystery. and lasted until February of 1980. If you've never seen this gem of the past, track it down and give it a watch.
You are listening to Dark Marks Macabre Cast, episode 154, Favorite TV Horror Series.
And now, the new night desk attendant at the Bates Motel, Laura Horror.
Hey, Monster Kids, it's Laura Horror, just checking in. Hope everybody's doing well. This week's question, what's my favorite horror series? Well, I have a favorite classic one, which of course is Alfred Hitchcock Presents. I've always been a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan. I love all his movies, especially Psycho, but a lot of his other movies also. And I love the series. Moving forward in time, another favorite of mine is True Blood. Awesome series. Really good. I love vampire stories, and this series was top notch. Going forward more recent, I love all the Mike Flanagan series. Midnight Mass, Haunting of Hill House, and his other ones. So good. So good. I'm always disappointed when a series of his ends and looking forward to the next thing he does. Anyway, hope everyone's doing well, and I hope you all have a great week. Bye.
Great horror TV picks and True Blood. That seems like so long ago now. I love Mike Flanagan's stuff. I truly do. And I know a lot of people had a problem with Midnight Mass and thought it was too wordy and too much dialogue. I love that. That's what made me probably like Midnight Mass better than all of his horror series. I really loved Midnight Mass. And also, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. We can't forget about the classics. Always great to hear from you, Laura Horror. Hope to hear from you again soon. Cobwebbed Classics. Welcome to Cobwebbed Classics, where I dust off a lost, forgotten, or just plain unappreciated film and introduce it to, or maybe just remind you about it, so your spooky Saturday night might run a little creepier. This week's Cobwebbed Classic is 1972's ABC TV movie of the week, The Night Stalker, directed by John Llewellyn Moxey, based on the unpublished novel by Jeff Rice and adapted by Richard Matheson. Darren McGavin is Carl Kolchak, the tenacious reporter who believes it is a vampire who is responsible for draining the blood of his victims in the shadows of the bright lights of Las Vegas. His editor won't publish his story as he deems it nonsense, forcing Kolchak to investigate the ghoulish murders himself. This was the highest-rated TV movie of its time, and of course, with that came a sequel called The Night Strangler, and the TV series Kolchak, The Night Stalker, which inspired the popular 90s show The X-Files. Matheson's original script stated Kolchak wore a Hawaiian shirt with Bermuda shorts. Darren McGavin said, "That doesn't sound like anyone I know." And when McGavin noticed in the script that Kolchak had been fired from a New York newspaper, McGavin's take on the character was, "This guy hasn't bought a new suit since he was fired." Hence the suit he appears in, being of a 1950s style in the 1970s. The film was produced by Dan Burnt Offerings Curtis, and with everything he's involved in, you can see his touch shine through. Barry Atwater, who played the vampire, wore red contact lenses that were so uneasy on his eyes that later scenes in the film, they were not needed as his eyes were now naturally bloodshot. Filmed for $450,000 and shot in 12 days, the film did so well, Curtis wished he had released it theatrically. The tagline for this gem is as follows:
"A vampire killer loose in Las Vegas? It's hard to believe, isn't it?"
1972's The Night Stalker is this week's
Cobwebbed Classics.
Is this something you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
Greetings, Dark Mark and Carousel Little Mummy. Scary Larry here in the on deck circle, next at bat. So, a few favorite horror series for me were, in no particular order, Bates Motel, the original Walking Dead, Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, Creepshow the series. Now, a couple ones I could not get into. Dexter, Hell Motel, Fear the Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Lived. All of them sucked in my opinion. Now, I didn't answer last week's topic, but it just happens to fit perfectly into this week's review. My sister told me she watched a movie on Prime called Halloween. It's based in Britain, and it does a main thing I can't stand. Ripping off classic horror movies without so much as a nod or a hint of an homage to the original. Opening with a 10-year-old boy in clown makeup kills his foster parents as institutionalized. That sounds awfully familiar. As an adult, it's a cat and mouse game between he and his doctor. Still sounds familiar. He gets help from cult followers who go in to this dressed as, wait for it, people in clown makeup. Hauntingly familiar. It's a huge ripoff of both Halloween and The Last Joker. I give it 1.5 stars. Skip for your sanity.
Great set of horror TV shows that you like, Larry. And yes, Creepshow the series was fantastic, and I felt it very much was along the lines of the original film, and I really enjoyed it. I own all of those seasons on Blu-ray. Definitely worth having. Bates Motel, great. And Walking Dead, I actually like all of the... I'm a big, as you know, big Walking Dead fan. And I know that you did not like The Ones Who Live. Did I like it as much as the original Walking Dead? No, but I actually really liked it. And I think it was the anticipation of waiting for that show and wondering if it was ever going to happen that made me like it. And Dexter I really enjoyed too. I never saw any of the newer versions of Dexter, but I enjoyed, especially the first 3 seasons, I thought were great. I know it kind of was subpar for the remainder and probably why the show ended, but I did really enjoy Dexter. I have never heard of Halloween from 2025. You know, Spielberg sued the makers of Great White, a.k.a. The Last Shark, for its ridiculous likeness to Jaws. In their film, you know, the Great White had Vic Morrow in it, you know, doing the worst impression of Quint that you could ever hope to see. So I guess I ask, where is Carpenter with this film? And why is he not all over this? But thank you, Scary, for doing what you do best. And those who know.
Do you want to participate in Dark Mark's Macabre cast? But you don't want to send a voice message? Maybe you don't like the sound of your own voice, or you're shy. Send Dark an email. He can read your thoughts on the show. Your opinion matters. Send Dark an email at macabretheater666@gmail.com.
The following program is rated TV MALV. It contains strong language and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Metal Melody.
Ho ho! Strap yourselves in, girls. Melody is the M in TV MLV. And the constant swearing. Can you even stand it? My nerves are crushed.
Hello, Doc Mark, Karis the Little Mummy, and all the Macabre cast fans listening. It is me, Metal Melody, and I am checking in for episode 154. So, unfortunately, I'm very pressed for time, but I would like to say I went and I saw The Mummy, and I have 2 different sides of feelings about it. The first one is it's nothing like I imagined at all. Okay, I thought like it was going to be about a freaking mummy, like, scaring people, walking around like the mummy, and it wasn't. It should have been called The Mummy's Curse, not the freaking mummy, okay? Let me get that out of the way. Now that that's out of the way, I really enjoyed the movie. It was about a curse. It was actually put on this little girl that they couldn't find. She disappeared. 7 or 8 years later, she pops back up, but she's changed, which of course, because she's cursed, some bitch put the curse on her, and she ended up having the evil demon inside her. It had a very good story to it, though. It really did. Yes, it had eeriness to it, absolutely. Especially the last half hour was very creepy. But the plot to it, the movie and all, I thought was fantastic. I thought it was very good. That's about it. It's definitely worth watching. I'd probably give it, 3.5 stars out of 5. Like I said, it wasn't what I was expecting. Although, all in all, it was a really good movie, and I really liked the story to it. I thought they did a great job. So, yeah, a little bit of a letdown, thinking, it was going to be about the mummy, and absolutely wasn't. But it's okay, because the story ended up being pretty cool. So, go watch it. It was awesome. Take care, everybody. I hope you all have a fantastic week ahead, and talk to you again on episode 155.
So far, I've heard nothing but good things about The Mummy. And of course, I'm very much like that myself. I talk about the Universal monsters all the time, and I wonder why we can't just have a Universal monster movie like they used to make them. I guess they just think the public is too grown up for that. I don't know. But yeah, should there just be a real mummy running around wreaking havoc? You'd have my money. I definitely want to see this movie. I have faith. I think they're getting there. They're getting better. But yeah, can we just have the old-fashioned Universal monsters back as is? As is. We know the origin story. Enough with origin stories. Let's get on with it. Monster Rally. So great hearing from you every week, Metal Melody, and we so look forward to hearing from you again.
You are listening to Dark Marks Macabre Cast, episode 154, favorite TV horror series.
Goditi questo episodio de Cast Macabro.
Thank you, Maria Monstalia, for telling our Italian friends to enjoy this episode of Macabre Cast.
Come on now, everybody pipe down. It's time for the final thought. When a guy who watches monster movies is all of a sudden going to talk like some kind of philosopher.
I'm always trying to throw out a thought or an analogy to say, we're all going through something, some more than others. But such is the story of life. I said a while back, be the final girl in your story, or boy for some. But understandably, some people's boogeyman isn't something you can trick or shoot 6 times at close range. Sometimes the boogeyman in our life isn't a physical presence at all, like someone that can simply be wiped away. Maybe it's financial, or family related, or an illness or disease that no matter how hard we fight, wins in the end. Do your best to remain positive, have hope, and faith. God bless, Monster Kids. Beware the moon. Keep clear of the moors. But most of all, remember, be good to yourself. This is Dark Mark, signing off. See you soon, I hope. This is a Macabre Theater production. Subscribe us.